Hello, everybody, and welcome to Unanswered Questions. Sometimes during our live broadcast, we just don't get enough time to answer all the amazing questions from students. So we're going to take this opportunity and answer some top upvoted questions from October.
Woo!
Let's get into it.
Let's get after it.
First question. What if someone threatens my life online?
I'll take that one. Here in Canada, that would be called uttering a threat. Could be intimidation. Could be a variety of different things under the Criminal Code of Canada. So if that's happening, I would strongly recommend that you bring that to the attention of the adult and then the two of you together notify the police.
Yep.
So that's what I would recommend.
Can I send feet pics on the internet?
Oh, that's your baby.
Well, yeah, we actually will have a video on our channel talking directly about that. But typically, if it's just a plain old regular foot picture, there's nothing inherently illegal about that.
Now, there's some nuance, right, with respect to context a little bit, or?
Yeah, if there's more material beyond just bare feet.
Material, you mean nude?
Yeah, let's go with that. Then we might be reaching that threshold of illegal images. But just plain old feet, nothing inherently illegal about that.
I mean, that's what's interesting about law. You know, it's not always black and white. It can be all shades of gray depending upon context, right?
Yep. What if you block somebody and they keep harassing you?
Well, keep blocking them. And if they continue, then there's something under the Criminal Code of Canada called harassing communications that you can also notify the police about to bring to their attention, hopefully to get them to knock on that person's door and say, you better stop or else.
Yes. May also depend what they're saying to you in that harassing messaging. So there could be other crimes beyond that.
Yeah. And I also find that if you just keep block, delete, don't engage whatsoever. Because if you do, you play right in their hands. Usually they just get tired of re-engaging and they often just go away. But sometimes they don't. And that's when you notify the police.
Yep. What if someone doxes your personal photos and finds out who you are?
Well, that's your wheelhouse. How about if you deal with that one?
I guess it depends on how the information was obtained. If someone hacks you and steals your information and things locked behind privacy, well then, yeah, it's the hack. That's the problem. That's the illegal activity.
That's mischief to criminal data under the Criminal Code here in Canada. Yeah.
But if someone just finds a private photo online that you didn't properly secure and just by happenstance is public and they republish it to a wider audience, well, whatever is public is already public.
Yeah, not necessarily illegal.
Are there internet police?
Oh, let's just say there's no police department that is only internet police. However, most police departments now have sections that are dedicated to online crime. Right. And forensic crime and that. Not all police departments, but a lot of them do have specialized organizations. We also have units like the Integrated Child Exploitation Unit, ICE units across Canada that specifically deal with online sexual predation and exploitation. But in most cases, no police department in and of itself, but most police departments have officers that are trained to deal with that stuff.
Yeah, I guess maybe national security might have larger agencies that focus on internet-based security, but you know, just regular old police.
No.
Yeah.
No.
What if someone tries to find my address? Well, I mean, if they're using public records in order to determine your address, there's nothing inherently illegal about that. Anyone in your neighborhood who watches you walk into your household would know where you live. So it's I like to think of an address similar to a car license plate number.
Yeah.
It's there. Not everyone immediately knows it's you, but it's still relatively public.
But and this is another good reminder that wherever possible, if you don't require an address, don't put it down, because as soon as you put it down, a lot of times it now becomes searchable, right? So a lot of times, you remember when you're filling out forms, really the only parts that are required are that have the little red asterisks in the box. If it doesn't have a red asterisk, it's not needed information, and a lot of times the address is not needed, so just keep it blank.
Yep. What if someone tries, I already asked that one. Can I get in trouble for sending someone a picture of a minor but not a nude?
No, not if it's not a nude. I mean, now, again, context is everything. What if you're sending a picture and you're uttering a threat as you're sending the picture? Well, then, yeah, that could be criminal.
If it is a semi-nude, though, we actually do have a video on YouTube that actually talks about that directly. There are some thresholds to keep in mind there, but it's just a regular fully clothed image, nothing sexual about it, nothing harassing about it, nothing inherently illegal about it.
Yeah, I mean, it only becomes prohibited if, not necessarily illegal, but if they've copied your picture off of one of your social media platforms where you've posted it, and then they screen scrape it, that could be a violation under the Digital Media Copyright Act, right? Because they're using your picture that you own without permission. That's not a crime; it's just a violation under
Unless
the DMCA, right?
unless they use it in a fair use context to
Right.
critique or satire, or
Right.
there are some exceptions to that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's in most cases, I think the answer is going to be no, but you know, there could be some exceptions to that rule.
What if someone hacks your phone account and sends things that are personal from your camera roll?
Well, if they hack into your account, it's illegal, right? If that's criminal mischief to computer data, which is under the criminal code, that makes it illegal. So report it to the police.
What if something is leaked against my will and I want to report it, but I don't want my parents or guardian to know about it?
I guess it depends upon what was leaked, right? I think the context or the tone here kind of feels like a nude, maybe, right? And we hear that a lot with, you know, the teens that connect with us, where a nude is leaked or posted non-consensually. They're really concerned if they notify their parents are going to overreact and stuff like that. But you know, one of the things that we say is one of the services that we offer is that when something like that happens, we offer free service to teens where we're more than willing to talk to parents to bring them up to speed on what's going on, so that parents become more supportive rather than punitive in nature. And in a lot of cases that has happened, because the other thing to remember is that if you don't tell your parents and the thing does leak, your parents are going to hear about it anyway. So better they hear it from you than from somebody else. And you know, my last comment on that is that, you know, one of the things I say to teens and kids all the time is your parents' love for you is 100% unconditional love. They may not like what it is you've done, but no matter how bad it is, they're still going to love you because they're your mom or dad, right? So
what can I do if I accidentally post something?
well, I mean, you can try deleting it.
Yeah.
Right? That's the first step. And if you can't delete it, then bury it, right? If you can bury it, right? So, but in a lot of cases, hopefully you're able to delete it. But if you can't delete it, bury it. And that's something that we talk about in our leveraging program, right? Where we talk to teens and even adults about how to bury stuff that can't be deleted. So it makes it harder to find.
Mm-hmm. How can I know a person I meet online is really who they say they are?
Oh, the golden $100 million question, right? I guess you never really know, especially with AI today, right? Like AI today, you could actually do live streaming with somebody who looks like a 15 or 16-year-old young person from California, but really they're a 55-year-old male from the Philippines, right? And you would never know the difference. So a lot of times you just don't know. So you just got to be careful. Now, we have written an article that you can find on our website where we talk about how to become a digital detective, where we talk about several steps that you can take to help kind of identify if the person is likely a real person or not. But in the end, especially with the new AI that's out there, it's becoming more and more difficult for sure.
Mm-hmm. Roblox or Fortnite?
That's your wheelhouse.
I'm a Fortnite player. That's my preferred game.
Your
but
partner's Roblox, though, isn't she?
She's played it once or twice, but she's also more Fortnite.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does AI contribute to online issues?
Well, I mean, don't get us wrong. There's a lot of cool things going on with AI, right? Like, it's kind of cool to see how teens and adults are using AI to become creative. Scientists are now using it for things like helping to find cures to things like cancer, or using it. Radio astronomers have used it now to narrow down messages from space that are maybe more than just random in nature, right? So there's some good stuff. However, like any other tool, because that's what AI is, a tool, it can be used for good or bad. And so there are some people now that are using AI for bad, weaponizing it to do things like for sextortion is a good example. Or another one where they some criminals in Newfoundland used voice AI, where they were able to screen scrape the voice of an 18-year-old person who went to Hawaii. It only takes 3 seconds to do it. And then what they did was they connected with the grandparents here in Canada who knew the kid was on their way to Hawaii and said, "Hey, grandma and grandpa, I've been arrested. I'm in jail. I don't have any money, and I need some money to get myself out of bail." And it sounded like their granddaughter, right? So they gave up all the money, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like any other tool. You can use it for good or you can use it for bad.
Yep. Should I use a VPN? We recommend it. We have VPNs on all the time, mm-hmm. And it just tunnels your network. So
what's a VPN stand for?
Virtual Private Network.
Yeah, and we recommend going with a premium VPN rather than a free VPN. Why?
Well, the free ones usually are slower. Usually they do collect data or they have a data cap on them, so you have to upgrade eventually. So paid for premium VPNs, couple bucks a month, probably the way to go.
I agree. Yeah, it's definitely better from a privacy and security standpoint.
Yeah. If your device is older and doesn't work well, is it easier for you to be hacked? Well, yeah. I mean, if a device falls out of support, because if you look at the very first iPhones, for example,
we have one.
They haven't been supported for eons, essentially. And there's security fixes and updates that are not pushed through because they're just older. So as long as a device is still within the service date, otherwise, then yeah, you might not have security fixes and therefore more susceptible to being hacked. If you get banned, can you challenge it?
Some platforms you can, not all.
Some platforms are judge, jury, and executioner, and you can't argue anything about them.
It's the old "you've been nuked."
Yeah.
Right. And there's no coming back.
Yeah. Social media platforms are not governments, and they are the arbiters of whatever rules they so deem to enforce.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't like it? Use a different network. What happens if your friend posts you without permission on Snapchat?
I guess it depends upon what that picture of you is, right? If it's a nude, that's illegal here in Canada and most states. But if it's not, then in most cases, it's not illegal. Again, context
Snapchat
is everything.
Does have its rules about content that are harassing, intimidating. Like there are community guidelines for what people can and cannot share and post on Snapchat.
Which is not illegal, but it is a violation of their terms of service, which means that Snapchat could potentially ban you, right?
Yeah.
For those types of violations.
Yeah. As long as a photo was taken in a legal situation, then okay. Then that's the thing.
What's a legal situation? Right? That's a whole nother discussion.
Could someone track you if you're using a VPN? Yeah, it's doable. If someone,
much harder.
If someone's targeting to track you, yeah, you can track people. There's different, you got your cookies, you got other tracking bits of data that are on your device. But a VPN is perhaps the best anti-tracking tool.
What if you pair up a VPN with Tor browser as a 1-2 combination?
Well, you would still have any data records on your local device. So you would have to, I mean, if you use private browsing mode, and then a VPN
combined with a Tor browser.
Sure, if you want to go that deep in tunneling, it's going to make your internet connection very slow. Yeah. But I mean, there are ways to make yourself less trackable. But a VPN does a pretty good job.
It does.
But yes, you can still be tracked. Why do people feel more comfortable online than in person?
Good question. Psychologists call the disinhibition effect, right? Where because you're in front of a camera or a screen, people are more likely to say and do things that they normally wouldn't say or do when they're face to face with somebody in the real world. It's what psychologists call the disinhibition effect.
Can I watch your live videos if it's not in school? Well, our live broadcasting, we do have our video on demand, but we also have a bunch of videos on YouTube, and that's where we share a lot of information. So
also, when we are presenting in schools for students who are at home because they're sick, they can still watch them from school, right? So they still have the ability to do that, right?
Have you ever thought someone was a hacker, but turns out they weren't?
Not me.
Yeah, not
that I can remember.
I mean, I guess if you're looking at, your prime suspect in an investigation, it could have turned out to be someone else. I guess, right?
Yeah.
If you want to think of it that way.
Yeah.
Are private messages visible to everybody?
Let me answer that. No, unless it's a group chat that's private and anybody in the group can't. Or if somebody in the group screen captures it and then posts it publicly, then yes, it can be, right? But in most cases, no. Right?
Yeah, unless the app you're using, there's a hack in there or a bug, which then makes your private content leak publicly. I mean, that can happen. Or if an employee working for the app that you are using wishes to take a peek at what you're doing, sometimes that is also possible. So the chances are low, but anything could get leaked. What camera are you using
Oh,
here in the studio?
That's your wheelhouse. You've got a couple, right?
We got 3 GH5s, Sony AX series, and a couple other webcams. Is the cameras we have here in the studio.
A few.
Have you ever gotten threats from doing this job?
No, we've had a couple of individuals try to do things they shouldn't have been doing, thinking that they were private, and we were able to identify who they were, and they were held accountable by the school. But overall, no, we haven't. Could it happen? Sure.
People have voiced opinions about they don't like the content we talk about.
Yeah, sure. Right?
Yeah,
whatever. Everybody has their own opinions and stuff, right? So, but threats, no.
What are your thoughts about NordVPN?
Go for it, Brad.
Nothing inherently wrong about it. It's a paid-for, premium, well-used VPN, and there's nothing inherently wrong about it.
Yeah, we use private internet access, right? PIA, private internet access, is the one that we use.
Yeah, and Nord is good.
Both of them are premium, so in other words, you pay for them.
Yeah. Can my school Wi-Fi see what I'm searching? It depends. It depends on what you're using and how you're using it. But there is data that can and does at times get collected.
I think the answer should be, yep, they can, right? In most cases, right? So
yeah, it does depend. I mean, they may not be able to see the actual text messages, but often in networks they can see where you're going, but may not be able to see
the hub,
but may not be able to see the data that you're sending from that site to you. It'll be encrypted. Usually, there's end-to-end session encryptions,
but they can see what sites you're going to and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Are you using Twitch for streaming? No, we use our video encoder is Vimeo, and we use that and we put it onto our site, and that's how we stream our broadcasts to schools and classrooms. But we do stream live on Twitch and on YouTube, and really anywhere that accepts live video. How concerned should I be about my digital footprint if I barely use social media?
Yeah, I'll answer that one. As long as what you're doing in social media is positive, you shouldn't. However, be aware that in today's world, a lot of businesses and even college universities now, they're no longer waiting for you to apply to them. They're seeking you out because of the cool things that you're doing online. The other thing that we've heard clearly, and there was some really good reporting on this as well about 2 years ago, is that businesses who are looking at individuals who are applying, they'll usually do a background digital dossier check on you. And for those who don't have any kind of digital dossier, it kind of raises red flags to them. It's kind of like, that's really weird because somebody your age should have some form of a digital presence, or what are you trying to hide from us? What are you lying about? So I personally think having a good digital media presence is more of a positive than it is a negative, as long as it's good stuff that you're posting.
Yeah. Unless maybe you're applying for a spy agency.
Yeah.
well, then they may like you not having a digital footprint.
I mean, we actually said this, I think 5 years ago, we said this.
That was longer than that.
Yeah,
remember, COVID was 3 years.
Yeah, that's true. Probably longer than that. We said many, many years ago when we first started doing this, that I think undercover work, be it in the policing, the military, whatever it is going to be much harder because of artificial intelligence and facial recognition now, right? So here you are using an undercover operator name, and the bad guys take a picture of you, and then they do a quick facial search online and go, you're not Brandon Laur, you're 007, you're James Bond, right? Kind of thing. So I think it's going to be harder for people to do that type of work.
I guess we'll need to advance the Mission Impossible rubber face mask stuff.
Dun, 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 dun.
Is it illegal to screenshot things and send it to others? I thought it was.
It depends upon what you're screenshotting, right?
Well, true. I mean, yeah. Generally not. If it's just regular messages, no. Most places, like here in Canada, we have a one-party consent.
Correct.
Where you can record conversations as long as you are a part of it and consent to be
recorded. I think if you're screenshotting pictures of somebody else in their nude pictures or semi-nude, illegal. If you're screenshotting somebody's picture and then using it elsewhere without their consent, violation of the DMCA. Not illegal, but it's a violation, so it's not something you'd be arrested for, but there could be significant fines associated. But overall, if it's just a picture, like you're taking a picture of your phone with somebody and you're posting it online, is it illegal to do that? Well, if the picture was taken in a public place, likely not.
You screenshot a text a friend sent you to share it with another friend who wasn't in a text. Well, no, there's nothing illegal about that. From what we can recall.
And then they told two friends, and then they told two friends.
I thought piracy was legal for private use.
That's what we thought as well until we spoke to a Canadian lawyer who specializes in this. And he says, technically, no, it's illegal.
That would be the same thing as saying stealing is legal as long as for your personal private use. Well, no, you can't just go to a store and steal something, but it's for private use.
Yeah.
It's still stealing.
Yeah. So in Canada, the answer is no, it's still illegal. Yeah, give me all your money. I'm using it for personal use, so it's not illegal. Right? Yeah, just saying.
What about AI generated sexually exploiting images that are made just using someone's face?
Yeah, if it's AI generated sexually exploited images, it is illegal in Canada. If it's of a person under the age of 18, it's still considered to be child pornography or child sexual abuse material. However, if you're also using it for the purposes of extortion, it is also legal. I think you talk about a fact that there was an individual in, I think it was Quebec, who was just sentenced on that very issue.
Yeah.
Right? Illegal.
Yeah, you are creating intimate images of people without their consent. Yeah, we got some problems there.
Yeah, for sure.
How can you tell the difference between AI and real people?
It's real hard. I mean, as AI gets more advanced, it's even be harder. But there's still some times where if the person's using AI like a filter on a camera, if you have them turn their head to 90 degrees and wave their hands in front of their face, you'll see some distortion taking place. So that's one way. However, as AI starts to mature, we're finding that it's getting better and better and better, that even when they turn their heads, it's really hard to see. Right?
Yeah, we are seeing organizations like Adobe and like Microsoft who are designing technology to detect that so that you can easily get a verification on...
Or at least make an informed decision, right?
Yeah, or the likelihood of what you're looking at is AI generated or not. So although those tools aren't readily easily as available as they should or as accessible as they should,
they're working on it.
I would love like a browser plugin so that anything that pops, there are some that exist, but usually they're paywalled.
Yeah, we've written an article that you can find on our blog site where for AI generated pictures, especially of people, there are certain tells that you can look for that are really good indicators to let you know that this is not a real person. So a really good example when it comes to phishing attacks, sexual phishing and dating type of phishing attacks, catfishing, where they use fake pictures. Well, if they're using AI to generate those pictures, there's certain things in the picture that you can look for that will give you a really good clue to let you know that this is AI generated. So we've written an article that you can find on our website.
How do I bury my information online?
Well, you bury it by creating websites that are indexed by Google and then flooding those websites with really positive stuff, right? Like the more positive stuff you flood into sites that are indexed by Google, the more likely it is you're going to push the old stuff that is in Google that really you can't delete. You push it down further into the internet. What's the word I'm looking for? Cache. You push it further down in the cache, which makes it harder to find. So that's how you do it, right? And that's one of the things that we teach on our leveraging course. There's about 6-7 different programs that we teach to use that if you're using those, if you can't delete something on the first page or second page of Google, a lot of times by entering data into these sites, you'll push it down to the 6, 7, 8 page of Google where it makes it harder to find.
When I delete something, it is never actually deleted. Well, you can never guarantee. Sometimes what you delete is gone forever, but you can never be sure. Sometimes some apps, networks, and websites keep cache records. Sometimes they never truly delete. Sometimes they're just hidden from public view, but still in the server. Or a friend may have captured or recorded what they saw you doing, and they have that on their phone forever. So you can never be guaranteed that it will be deleted forever.
A lot of good questions on privacy this time. Some really good questions, which tells me that this is definitely alive in the teens' brains, right? Like they're actually thinking about this kind of stuff, which is really good.
Is Google Incognito mode actually private?
No.
Well, it works typically halfway of what you might be thinking. So Google Incognito prevents cookies and history from being saved locally on your device. Apps, networks, and websites you connect into can have their own history about what you say and do.
Right.
So
well as your internet service provider, right?
Yeah. So you can control what's on your device, and that's what Incognito does, but you can't control what's on other devices that networks you connect into. So
including your internet service providers, right? So
half half right.
Yeah, but it's not really.
No.
Right. In fact, Incognito is presently being sued for, I think it was $5.1 billion over the fact that they failed to fully disclose that when people are using incognito mode, Google is still collecting that information and using it to their advantage, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting case because when people turn on incognito, it says your data would not be collected using Google's Chrome browser, but going to Google's website, it still collects your data. But Google Chrome says it's not collecting.
That's what's going to be interesting. Yeah. Is it or isn't it? That is the question.
Are Instagram messages private? No, I don't think. No, Instagram doesn't have end-to-end encryption. So
they're working on it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're working on it. But I get back to the fact that as soon as you hit that send button, no matter what platform, no matter what your privacy settings, just consider that what you've sent can now become public, permanent, searchable, exploitable, copyable, shareable, right? Like there's truly is no such thing as 100% privacy. So just always bear that in mind.
Do questions asked here create digital footprints? Yeah, I mean, everything you do has a digital footprint. The Q&A system we uses the least minimal amount of tracking that could be created about you. So yeah, there is cookie history if you allow that. And there is IP address tracking because every website needs to know your IP address. That's how the internet works. But that's really about it. So yeah, you do have a digital footprint, but it's not like these questions are publicly attached to you, searchable on the internet for everybody.
Correct.
Is Discord unsafe? If the servers you're connecting into are properly moderated, then it's like any other social platform. I like Discord because it reminds me of the old school internet where there wasn't all this AI monitoring and filtering and limiting.
Or advertising.
Or advertising, yes. Discord's great for that. But the thing is that it's really on the server admins and moderators to keep content appropriate. So yeah, are there some Discords that I would say are unsafe given the content that's not moderated? Yep.
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah, there is. But there are some Discord communities that are well moderated and have rules enforced and have a good mod team.
It's much like any other tool or social media. It can be used for good or bad, right? It depends upon the moderator and what
it is. But the thing with like Facebook Meta is that no matter what page you connect to, everyone's still bound by Facebook's AI monitoring and moderation.
Yep.
Discord, not as much. So more flexibility, but just make sure what you connect into is safe and appropriate. What software do you need to DDoS people? Well, there isn't really like a software program you can download publicly available.
And even if there was, we wouldn't say so publicly, right? Like that's not what we do. Or like, why would we want to encourage people to go, oh, here, let's download it? Like, no.
Generally, you need to be able to connect into a vast network of devices and then send a command for them to send random junk data to a particular computer address. But there isn't, I mean, there is some software that can help facilitate that, but there isn't a one package DDoS somebody software available. If I use an alias for podcasts, Twitch, etc., can potential employers and admin officers still Google my name and find me? Yeah. Actually, there was a story of a public insurance corporation worker who had their own private personal podcast, but they were saying unnice things.
Racist.
Yeah, about some of their coworkers at the business they worked for, but they never said the person's name. But then the business realized, hey, this person works for us, and they're saying horrible, ugly things about coworkers, and they were fired from their job. But the person said, well, I didn't say their name. You were still harassing employees because of that. So yeah, yeah, people are held accountable for everything they publicly share with their name or not their name.
Yeah, and I can tell you firsthand experience as online investigators, we've been able to identify a number of people who have used aliases and not their real name, but through investigative techniques where you will identify what their real names were, right? So, how
vulnerable is my phone webcam from being hacked? highly unlikely. And in order for a hacker to gain access over a webcam on a phone or computer, typically you as a user are going to have to let them in. Usually they trick you into downloading something you shouldn't download. But randomly hacking into cameras, very unlikely. Anything's possible, but very
More likely
unlikely.
on an Android than an Apple too, right?
Yeah. It's easier to Android allows a user to have full control over the device. Apple is a little more
Sandboxed.
restrictive over what their users can do. So yeah, Android more vulnerable to that. Do you think that the privacy benefits of Linux are worth the learning curve?
Oh, that's in your wheelhouse.
Well, if you're looking at like Ubuntu, I mean, that is an incredibly fairly user-friendly operating system. Are the privacy benefits worth it? Probably not. Most people like what's familiar, so Windows and Mac OS. If you know what you're doing, I think Linux is great. I mean, a lot of gaming platforms are opting for Linux. Look at the Steam Deck. It's Linux because Linux is lightweight and very powerful if you know how to use it. So is it worth the learning curve? For most people, probably not. But I hope to see that change.
I love this next question. It kind of makes me giggle a little bit.
Is it okay to use a free VPN if you're okay with how it works?
Here's the funny part.
I don't think our school Wi-Fi could get any slower.
I love it, right? I mean, the problem with free VPNs is they're free for a reason because they collect your internet, they collect your data and sell it. Number two, it does slow it down. So if all of a sudden you're using a free VPN, you already have a slow school network, you're going to double up to how slow it is.
If you're fine with that, okay, but just make sure whatever you're doing on there, I mean...
Well, the reason why probably is because kids are using VPNs at schools to bypass school filters, right? So that schools are trying to block them from going to Discord, Twitch, TikTok. So they're trying to block them, and the kids are using VPNs to bypass them, right? That's why they're using VPNs.
Yeah. You mentioned good hackers or hackers for good. What exactly do they do?
Here's a really good example. Pen testers, penetration testers, right? These are individuals that are hired by corporate entities to say, okay, try and hack into my network. And if you can, let me know so we can fix it. So there's a good example how hacking for good. They're called pen testers is a really good example.
For good? Well, maybe. Government spy agencies?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Assuming they're operating with full integrity.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there are good hackers who hack for good. Yeah. Usually limited by laws, contracts, limitations. It's not like good hackers can do all the things bad hackers can do. There's a reason why bad hackers break the law. So
exactly.
Good hackers have to work within the law.
Yeah.
Can job recruiters or university admins see what is about me on the dark web?
In most cases, no.
They usually don't search there.
No,
if they want to, they could. But...
Or if it's brought to their attention. Like we have had several cases now where a teen earned a scholarship to a college or university in the United States. Another team member on that teen school here in British Columbia didn't like that fact. They didn't get a scholarship. So what they did was they took information on this teen and sent it to the college and university in an attempt to submarine them. Right. So in those cases, if it was brought to the attention of the universities, yes, but universities and colleges aren't going to spend the time to go into the dark web, right? Deep dark web.
Generally, they want people to join the university to pay them.
Yeah. How true is that?
The more people they ban, well, the less money they could make. So there is some financial incentives there. Is it pointless to clear your search history?
For some students, they think yes for mom and dad, right?
Oh, okay. So search history, what's the big deal? Well, some apps, networks, and programs will want to take a peek at your search history. And the more history you have saved, the more it can collect about you. So yeah, there can be a purpose of that.
Hey, Brandon, I'm looking at your search history right now. What's this Pornhub thing I keep seeing popping up all over the place right now?
Yeah. For you personally, try to hide what you're doing from your friends or family. That might be a reason why you may wish to clear that history.
But just be aware that some internet service providers will still supply the owner of that network history of what's been happening on their IP, right? So...
Will employers hold AI-generated explicit photos against you? Well, there might be a leave of absence or a administrative leave in order to investigate to determine the legitimacy of allegations made against you, which in today's political climate could be career ending. But if it's properly, assuming the business is doing their due diligence and analyzing the AI generated image to ensure it is AI,
this is a big deal, right? Like this is a big deal. And we're starting to see this now. Like we know of a case presently in Australia where a youth used AI to generate child sexual abuse material of a colleague at a school and weaponize it and post online. And it was really hard to tell it was AI. Like this is actually getting kind of scary of what bad actors can do with this stuff, right? It can look extremely real and make it really hard. So, but if it is proved to be AI generated, well, no, the employer can't hold it against you. Like you say, they may decide to kind of give you a little bit of a leave of absence to allow them to do an investigation. But
yeah, especially if you're in a career path that is more publicly scrutinized, if you're a politician, public worker, working with kids, a more sensitive job position, yeah, you might have some hiccups in your career path, but generally you're going to say it's AI and then an investigation will happen.
Question 49 makes me laugh.
Can parents see my searches from my home Wi-Fi? Yeah, it's possible. Yep. There's a lot of factors that come into that, but
depending upon the router and
the IP and all that stuff, but it is possible. Yeah. Yes. Are VPNs like TunnelBear and WideScribe with free and paid options reliable and safe? Great question. So some premium VPNs have trial accounts. Yes, a free VPN in that sense would be okay because you're still using the premium network. But usually in this case, you're usually throttled in your speed and you're usually capped. And then once you go over the cap, VPN shuts off. So if, depending on how it does that, if you're searching something in a VPN because you want no one to know what you're doing, and then you reach your cap and it shuts off and now you're publicly available, if it's a VPN and when you reach your cap, it shuts off your internet, so you can't keep searching, that's probably a better option. But free trials in premium networks, safer than completely free VPNs.
Yeah.
Do you do meetings on Zoom? Yeah, we do like consultations. Some organizations bring us into Zoom. So our live studio can integrate with Zoom, but we don't host Zoom broadcasts because Zoom is a meeting platform and not a broadcasting platform. So Zoom has video compression and just things we don't like. So we stream and broadcast almost the raw data from our studio to the computers and audiences we connect to.
Yeah, we use things like Vimeo and Slido and some other platforms, right?
Yeah. Is sugar daddy and baby thing illegal?
Yeah, again, it depends. If it's two consenting adults, no. But if it's an adult targeting somebody under the age of 18, yep, it can be illegal.
It depends on what they're doing, though.
Correct.
All right. You get into that weird threshold of once something is child abuse material and not.
Or grooming.
Right.
Or luring.
Right. So it depends. I've seen some of these relationships where someone just pays money just to talk.
Right.
And there's nothing sexual. There's nothing explicit about it. It's just talking.
Again, context is going to be everything. But I think if it has any kind of a sexual connotation to it, then it's probably where you're stepping over into the dark side, where it's now becoming illegal.
Yeah.
So
it depends. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Is it illegal for someone to send pictures or links of self-harm? Oh
no, I don't of themselves sending videos of self-harm.
That is an interesting question. So
I mean, if they're sending it to somebody and they're sending it without the other person's consent multiple times, that could be online harassment, right?
Okay, yes.
That could be harassing communications, but
I guess it would depend on the conversations before and after.
Yeah.
Because you could have some sort of incitement.
Yeah.
Hatred potentially, or
but I mean, even then we're kind of pushing the extremes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think the honest answer to this question is that in most cases, probably not. However, context again is going to be everything, right?
Harassing communications, indecent no.
Harassing if they're sending the pictures multiple times to an individual without the other person's consent, even if the other person's saying please don't send me those pictures, and they're still sending them, well then that's harassing communication.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
It's a good question because the content is not the person themselves posting it; they're just sending you a link to it.
Yeah,
and if you want to break it down to section 230,
or if it's sometimes it's even more link. Sometimes it is a picture that's sent directly to their phone. They click on, boop, there's a picture, right?
Well, I think,
and
if it's a picture, I think now we got more of a problem here. If I send you an actual picture, but if I just send you a link to a website,
why is sending a picture a bigger deal?
Because you control the content. Yeah, if I send you a website, I'm not the owner of the website. I am not responsible for the content on the website. But if I send you a picture, I'm responsible for the picture I send you.
Yeah, but I think it's here. Is it illegal for someone to send a picture
or links?
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think in most cases the answer is going to be no. But if you're sending them and the person's saying please don't send me anything, and you keep sending them, then I definitely think we have a harassing communications. This is Canada, right? That we're talking about in Canada. It may be different in the States, depending upon the state you're in. So
that's a very complex question.
Yeah, for sure. It's like anything else, all shades of gray. Context of what's going on can mean everything.
What if you're just sending pictures to people in bed without sexual intent? Does it mean anything?
Now, you've got a really good case that you found on this where somebody was laying in bed. It was a youth, covered. You couldn't see anything. But the person over them was doing something sexual, and therefore the court said, well, no, that now makes it child sexual abuse material.
Yes.
Right?
But if it's just a picture covered in bed, you're taking a selfie, but you have big, comfy sheets covering you, and there's no sexual context before and after?
I don't think there is.
Yeah, then it's probably fine.
Yeah, I don't see anything illegal with that.
Yeah. Do you think that it is bad that consent can be revoked? You could easily be set up. I'm sure it's happened.
Yeah, I actually wrote an article on this. No, I don't think it's bad. I think consent should be withdrawn at any time. There's been some really good research, and I forget what the numbers were, but there was some good research in Canada and the United States that finds that people who do report it out, less than 5% was false. They reported it falsely. So the likelihood of it being false is extremely low statistically, right? But no, I think consent should be withdrawn at any time because people can change their minds. They may feel comfortable now, but maybe 5, 10, 20 minutes, an hour, they don't feel comfortable. So now I'm going to withdraw consent.
Yep.
Again, we've done a whole video, free video you can find on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on the issues of consent in Canada, which I would strongly encourage all teens, parents, educators to watch because it really kind of hones down a lot of those questions around consent, withdrawing consent and all that stuff.
Is it illegal to post an edited photo of someone if you are not doing it for malicious purposes?
I don't think so. Is it illegal to post an edited photo, so a morphed picture of someone, you aren't doing it for malicious purposes?
Could be some photos you edit into a position. You may have no malicious intent to make an illegal photo, but an illegal photo could still be created.
Yeah, but again, it comes down to intent. What was the intent of it? I mean, a really good example, we see this all the time on comedy shows, right? Where they'll take pictures of people and then they'll morph them to make a joke.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't necessarily think it's going to be illegal. Again, I guess depending upon a context that I can't think about right now. But
if you take a photo of, let's say, a teen and you AI edit it, and you now create child sexual abuse material,
that's illegal.
That's illegal. Although you had no malicious intent,
right?
But it still turned out that way.
Well, you must have, because you must have known that in the AI generation, you wanted to say, picture of Darren's face, integrate it, morph it into nude picture of somebody. So I think there would be some intent there. If you're generating AI child sexual abuse material, I think there is going to be some intent there. So, or else it wouldn't have been produced. So, anyways.
Do the girls you help feel more comfortable talking with another woman instead of you?
Well, our experience has been no. Everyone who's spoken to us, they felt quite comfortable with us, and probably because we were able to build rapport with them during our presentations, where they felt comfortable enough to say, "Hey, listen, we can reach out to these guys." Now, if somebody was to connect with us and who identified as female and said, "I'd love to talk to another person who's a female," then I would direct them to some place like the Women's Transition House or Women's Sexual Assault Center or something like that. But I can tell you, for all those who've contacted us up until this point in time, no, they felt very comfortable, and we haven't asked. None of them have asked that I can recall, "Hey, do you have a woman on staff that we can talk to?"
Yeah, I mean, could there have been some who haven't reached out in the first place because of that?
Maybe.
Yeah, it's possible, but that's why we have our safety app,
Yeah.
which outlines resources from other organizations
Yeah.
across North America that provide services for all identities.
Good point.
So yeah, we're just one resource in a network of resources. So
And if we don't know the answer, we know somebody who does, right? And we can connect them with that. And the resource is really kind of cool. Like, we just had a friend of ours from the United States who does work like we do in the United States connect with us because they were trying to help a friend in the United States, but they couldn't. So they passed them off to us, and we were able to help them. Just got an email back from them saying, "Darren, thank you so much. You don't know how much we appreciated that." Right. And, we do vice versa. Like, that person has a lot of experience specifically doing some stuff that if I needed help, that's who I would turn to. So,
and those are our top upvoted questions for October.
November. It's like 8 weeks till Christmas.
Yes. Do I get a new M3 MacBook under the tree?
No.
Oh, darn.
See how expensive they are?
Yeah, for the top level,
Yeah.
fully maxed out.
Yeah.
I didn't play with the.
It was like 8 or 9 grand.
Yeah, it was about 8,000 Canadian.
Like, holy moly.
I didn't go into the widget and see how much it would cost. Maybe I did.
Yeah.
But
Maybe you
ooh,
did.
the M3s look powerful.
Yeah, they do.
Oh yeah.
They do.
Anyways, we'll see you all next time. Thank you all so much. Stay safe and have fun.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye for now.